Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Green Room Podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Colin Mitchell. Colin, we're wearing the same clothes as the last podcast, but it's because we're recording them back to back, and we had to get this content out, right? That's what we had to do. Are you ready to talk football? Are you ready to talk some North Texas Mean Green football?
Feels weird to talk football, you know?
Yeah, gotta flip the mind. It's always football season, Colin, though. That's one thing you learn in the content game. It's always
football season. Isn't
Always
that a
football
shame?
season. Well, it's life. That's what that's
He goes, well,
trust me, here at LSU, it's
football. It definitely isn't basketball. Let me tell you that. It's definitely not basketball.
When in doubt, just do a football story. That's my life. Whenever in doubt, just be like, hey, dang, I don't know what to write about. Football. Boom. Easy. Dub. We're gonna be talking about the North Texas football schedule release. Specifically with the American Conference. As everybody knows, North Texas will be going there for the first time, moving from Conference USA.
Doesn't that feel weird to say now?
It does.
We're no longer in the purgatory that is Conference USA.
I'm gonna miss it though.
I'm not at all gonna miss it. First thing I said when Bruni showed me where to get the schedule for the AAC, and they tweeted out this nice little gridded schedule. I'm like, the Conference USA has never done this before. No. Production value is already taken a step above. It's already different.
The only thing I'll miss about Conference USA, and I said this before, is the basketball tournament in Frisco.
Yes.
That is what I will. The only thing I'll miss, and it's not like I go to that anymore, anyways.
Where's the AAC tournament, or do they do like?
I think they're based in Fort Worth. Now I don't know where the tournament is. I don't know where the basketball tournament is, but
basketball.
I believe their headquarters are in Fort Worth, so you can figure that one out wherever it is. But
Fort Worth, baby.
It's in Fort Worth.
Dickey's Arena.
Yeah, that's where.
Let me tell you, that is an upgrade to the Star.
It's definitely an upgrade.
Let me tell you.
But they won't have the back-to-back stadium courts going at the same time, Colin.
Listen,
that was part of the
after
appeal.
The first year, it was overrated.
You didn't.
Who cares,
bro?
When I had to do the pictures, when I had to do the pictures, I had to go between.
Okay, yeah,
you know
that's okay from a photography standpoint. But I'm saying you could watch the second half of one game, go and watch the second half of the other game, and just keep going back.
But I feel like the first year was the best year, and then the years after that, it kind of got like worse in quality. You know what I mean? Like they kind of like it was a little bit more jank.
It was definitely a novelty initially. Like we were like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah,
like, with the curtain, man. Yeah, this is awesome. And North Texas lost early, so we were just watching teams like the good teams play. And no, remember that was Middle Tennessee lost to Southern Miss. Were you?
Oh yeah, the first year. Yeah, first year. Yeah, I shot that game.
They had it there.
Yeah, I shot that game.
Middle lost to
that was the year Marshall went crazy with John Elmore. Yep. But I mean, they had the light issue where like half the court was like black.
Yeah.
On TV broadcast. So listen, man.
All right.
No hard feelings.
The American though, Colin. The American. It's enough talking about Conference USA basketball. For God's sakes, it's a football podcast. Lock in. Let's go through the schedule. All right. Like I said, there's a full grid. As we know, the American now consists of, let me read off the teams. This is not the schedule. These are the teams in the American.
Yep.
UAB, Charlotte, East Carolina, FAU, Memphis, Navy, North Texas, Rice, South Florida, SMU, Temple, UTSA, Tulane, and Tulsa. Okay. So, with that being said, we've talked at length over the past 2 years about how easy North Texas schedule was and how it did them a lot of favors and how they were probably, around the 100 range in terms of teams, but they played a bunch of teams that were in the bottom 10 of the country. That will not be the case this year. All right. Now, I say that full well knowing North Texas went out of its way. I don't know if Ren did this, or I think Ren probably did this. I don't know. But they got La Tech and FIU. They said, no, we're still playing La Tech and FIU from Conference USA, no matter what. So they got them as two non-conference games here.
Doesn't that hurt you a little bit?
We'll go. Well, which part?
I want to see something mixed up. I feel like this is like going back to an old girlfriend,
right?
You know what I mean?
It's like you have your new girlfriend, but then you cheat on her.
Yeah,
and you just at the beginning.
Like wasn't a couple years ago Cal, FIU, La Tech? That would have been like a real schedule thing because they played Cal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So, anyways, but the point is that in conference now, you don't have FIU, you don't have La Tech, you still have Rice, but you don't have UTEP, who's always bad, and you kind of move on from there. So let's go through the schedule.
Okay.
Non-conference schedule is Cal, week 1, FIU, La Tech, Bye, and then Abilene Christian.
Yep.
Those are the 4. And I believe Cal is at home, FIU and La Tech are on the road, and ACU is at home.
That is correct.
What do we think of the non-con? Which we knew this would be the non-con. But this was not a release of the non-conference schedule, but now we're talking about it. So
Like loss and wins. Let me go through this. Cal win.
Okay, so they're going 4-0 then. Because
Or sorry, Cal loss. Sorry, Cal
Okay.
loss. Cal loss. Sorry.
Okay. But look, here's the whole thing. And I remember talking to Ren about this a good amount. Was they didn't do traditional like bye games. You know, they don't play Georgia or LSU. Like the last 2 years, UAB has played Georgia and LSU, and this year UAB plays Georgia again. Like they don't have one of those games. You know, last year their non-conference schedule, which we talked about, was SMU, Texas Southern, UNLV, and Memphis. Like those are 4 winnable games, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of what Ren Baker and I mean probably Seth Luttrell to a degree, but like the brain trust was thinking like, hey, we don't need to sell our souls to get beat down 56-0 for that check. Okay, we're gonna schedule Cal. We're gonna schedule these 2 FIU and La Tech games, and then Abilene Christian. That in theory could be a 4-0 start to the season.
Right.
At the very, very, very minimum, it's 2-2, and usually I think it'd be 3-1 because I mean La Tech I think is going to be significantly better than they were last year, but still I would expect North Texas to probably be favored even on the road in that game. So, what are we thinking? 3-1 probably.
I was thinking 2-2.
Damn. Okay, we're already starting off with the negativity here, Colin.
It's not negative. You have a new coach, new team, new conference.
Right.
La Tech, yeah, but they have a good recruiting class. Let me tell you that.
Okay, so that's the non-conference there. This is why we're here now to talk about the conference slate.
Yeah.
So after playing Abilene Christian at home, and let's remember the bye week was week 4 for North Texas, which is kind of annoying. It's kind of too early. Like you don't.
Yeah, you don't. No one. I mean, yeah.
I'd rather have it like week 6, 7, or 8. But anyways, so after that, they have Navy on the road, Temple at home, Tulane on the road in New Orleans, which we already said we're going to be at, barring scheduling conflict. Memphis at home. So those are the first 4. Navy on the road, Temple at home, Tulane on the road, and Memphis at home. What do we think of those 4? My concern is I think that Navy game determines the season.
Yes, because that's one of your few winnable games, right?
You have to win that game.
But here's the thing. Okay. North Texas is not used to playing AAC teams. I am going into the season fully expecting a meltdown. But not like where it's like I'm like
Let's
upset.
finish the schedule.
Okay.
Let's finish the schedule and then you can get your point out.
Well, you told me to give you the thoughts on those 4 games.
Yeah, but then you started going big picture about us having a meltdown.
Those are 4 games. Well, you said Navy was the season, apparently.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to Navy, but I'm not going to be overly upset because North Texas year after year, and we talked about this, there's the whole gripe of the last season was you're playing all these cupcake games until you don't. And I think Navy last year, if you had them in Conference USA, they'd probably be a pretty good Conference USA team.
Last year, Navy
they went 4-8.
But if you look at it, they did lose to Memphis by 24, but then barely lose to Air Force, who was a very good team. Beat East Carolina, beat Tulsa, lost to SMU by 6 on the road, lost to Houston by 18, lost to Cincinnati by 10, lost to Notre Dame by 3, beat UCF, and barely lost to Army in double overtime.
Yeah. So my point is that you're playing. Right. We've talked about this the whole time. You're playing a different tier. Now, I would like them to win because that was the whole point. You got rid of Seth, right? Like Eric Morris is brought in for a reason. But I think that game would get made up somewhere else with the different performance. I'm not looking for wins, losses. I'm looking for how they play against better competition. Like if you go into the Navy game and you lose by, 3, like I'm not going to go, oh, the season's over. If you go to Temple and you lose by a touchdown, but it's like at the end of a game or whatever, perfectly fine. I am looking for how you were playing these teams because time after time again, we are so disappointed with how they come up against teams that are better than the worst. And I just want to see a team that's competitive and competent, and that's all I'm looking for this season.
Okay.
I don't know if you have the same outlook.
I have a similar feel. I will push back. The only thing I'll push back on is you have to beat Temple. Temple, I think won one.
I guess I don't know how bad Temple was last year.
Yeah, Temple won one game. Well, we're getting used to the American. That's all right.
Yeah,
that's all right. We're training wheels, Colin. Training wheels. You have to beat Temple, and you'll probably have to beat Tulsa. So look, this is what I'm saying, is that you have to beat Tulsa, you have to beat Temple. Let's just say those are 2 wins. Okay. I know some people want to write off Navy as a win as well. I'm not so fast to do that on the road, knowing how the service academy schools play. Like that's a tough game. But anyways, you have those 2. All right. Now let's finish the 4. Let's do the next 4. So like I said, Navy, Temple, Tulane, Memphis. You then have UTSA at home, SMU on the road, Tulsa on the road, and UAB at home.
Yeah.
That 4-game stretch of Tulane, SMU. Oh, I'm sorry. I read the wrong one. No, I mean, I read the right one, but I was about to read the wrong one. Of Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, and SMU. I jokingly said this, but someone let me know if it's true. That might be the toughest 4-game stretch in North Texas history.
Yeah.
Like I'll go back sure at some point, like, and look it up. I know they had a tough non-conference.
Well, let's do this. Let's go recent history.
Okay, sure. Recent history. Somebody let me know if I'm wrong. Tulane on the road. Okay, this is a team that just beat USC in the Cotton Bowl. Just won a New Year's Six bowl and was on the fringes of freaking being a top 5 team in the country. Whatever. Tulane. Okay, cool. Not even expecting a close game in that one. Not at all. Memphis. All right. They're going to be better than last year. Okay, I promise you that. That game is the most winnable of the 4, in my opinion. But Memphis, year after year, I think they're going to be better than they were last year. Okay, and I think last year's team, obviously, North Texas said they beat them on paper. They did not win the game, though. I think that Memphis team will be very tough. You then have UTSA, returns Frank Harris and a lot of other guys, and they're going to be trying to basically win the conference this year. Okay.
Yeah.
We know about them. Then you have SMU, and we already know about SMU.
Yeah.
I talked to
plenty about SMU.
I talked to my guy Billy Embody. I said, "What's the prediction?" Because he did his own podcasts, going through the schedule. I said, "What's the prediction?" He said 10-2. I was like, "Yeah, they probably have the most pressure on them. SMU does of any team in this conference at this moment because all the big boys left. SMU views themselves as a big boy. SMU should win the conference. Like that's their thinking. All right." After that 4-game stretch that I just said is the toughest 4-game stretch in North Texas history, where I don't have any context of what it was like in the 90s, 80s, whatever you want to say, or even 2000s, you get Tulsa on the road, which I think will be a very, very tough game, but a winnable game. But again, let's just give it to them. Then you have UAB. Like, this is where we're at.
Who, again, also has a really good recruiting class.
Yes. So, Colin, when I say those 8 games of Navy, Temple, Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, SMU, Tulsa, at UAB, what is your expectation for this team?
Give me 3 wins.
I agree. 100. I would be very happy with
That's all I need. Season. All I need. And I expect those wins against like a UAB. Temple, obviously, you told me they're awful, which is good. And then it's either Tulsa or Navy.
Yeah.
Everything else, all I'm looking for is competent, competitive, something.
I think you said it right. You beat Temple. Let's say they beat Tulsa or Navy. All right, win one of those 2. And then you beat one of the big boys. You beat one of the good teams. You beat either Memphis. You beat, UAB.
Because
you beat an SMU or something like that. You win one of those, 4 games? Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, SMU, UAB.
When was the last time North Texas played a team in conference and it was exciting that they won the game? And I mean that in the sense that, like, I feel like these last 7 years, well, we'll go 6 years, we've gone into every conference game thinking that they are going to win because that was their expectation in the preseason. And now, if they come out and they somehow beat Tulane, like that's bigger than the Arkansas win. Like that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like at no point did they ever beat a UAB and we go, oh, that's a big
well,
win. like
Well,
overall.
the only one is, and this was up for debate, but however we want to view this, is the UTSA win in 2021.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
That's the one
That
where
would
you're
be
like,
that, I guess.
that's what that was them overcoming, and that was hopefully for us. That's what we viewed it to be, the turning of the corner to a degree.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, they go on to lose the bowl game, and they had last year, and rest in peace. But regardless,
But do you know what I mean? Like, you have multiple teams in the conference schedule that are now, you're not expected to, I don't want to say not be competitive, but you're not we know these teams are really good. Like, there's no FIU, there's no Southern Miss, there's no who's a really bad team from years past that's just always been bad.
But look, they don't get, here's what I kind of like about the schedule. I kind of like that this is a hard schedule for them. And I say that because they don't get Rice.
Yeah.
Right? They don't get USF. And USF, while historically has been a decent program, they were the worst team in the conference last year. So you arguably don't get the two worst teams in the conference. Now, with that being said, they also don't play FAU or East Carolina, who both teams would give them absolute problems.
Yeah.
But we're looking at the schedule. It's a pretty tough schedule, and I think it's a really good first-year schedule to where we go into it saying, if this coaching staff can get them on the right tracks, like you said, they might not make a bowl game. Like, they might go 5-7 on the year, or they might go 6-6. But if things look right, then we'll know it.
Right.
And if things
it's
look
the eye
right,
test. That's what this year
if the eye
is.
test looks good, I sincerely think they make a bowl game at 6-6.
Yeah.
Even with 5 games where they're going to be a touchdown plus underdogs. Like, that's just how it goes. So,
yeah.
And honestly, maybe 6. Like, you have Cal, Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, SMU, UAB.
Yeah.
6 very, very tough games here. 6 games where you're probably going to be 4+ point underdogs. How many of those can you be competitive in? How many of those can you cover in? All that stuff matters to me. And then, can you take care of FIU and La Tech? 2 road non-conference games against Conference USA schools in the non-conference. So, yeah, I think overall, it's a pretty reasonable schedule. I mean, it's not an easy schedule, but I was looking at SMU's, not to change subject if you still have something on North Texas, but I was looking at SMU's schedule, and this is part of the reason Billy had them going 10-2. They don't play FAU. They don't play UTSA, and they don't play Tulane.
Yeah.
Like, look at SMU got the cleanest draw.
They have a really nice draw, actually.
They got the cleanest draw. And so, again, SMU will have the pressure on it. UTSA will have a lot of pressure on it, especially in that week 1 game against Houston for UTSA. If we just bounce around a little bit, I mean, UTSA has to play UAB, FAU, East Carolina back to back to back. And then, North Texas, Rice, USF, and Tulane.
Yeah.
Like, UTSA's schedule has Houston, Tennessee, UAB, FAU, and Tulane on it. It's a step up for everybody. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
This is
which is what everything is. It's everything everyone wanted.
Yep.
Like,
exactly.
Like, all of these games, I'm finally gonna wake up on a Saturday and be like, this is gonna be a cool game, just to see a Memphis, just to see a Tulsa, just to see Tulane. Not because I rooting for those teams, but it's going to bring people in because they're not playing the same old. But 2, like, you want high level football, and that's this next step to the AAC is going to do that. So,
and playing SMU in a conference game, in my opinion, it adds even more to the rivalry.
Oh yeah,
like,
because
not
if North Texas is somehow above them in the conference,
or not even that, but I mean, yes, obviously that, but in theory, if now it's not only for bragging rights. Like, let's say SMU actually does come into that game with only 2 losses to TCU and Oklahoma, and let's say they're ranked and all this stuff, and North Texas somehow wins.
Yeah.
And SMU somehow doesn't win the conference title because of that. Like, it's a different feeling. It's a different rivalry.
You can play spoilers.
Same thing with UTSA, right?
Yep.
Even though UTSA was already a conference opponent, now UTSA is looking to take the next step. North Texas is kind of rebuilding, but that's just what you have a lot more high leverage games. It feels like if UTSA, and this is hopefully the case for North Texas in a couple of years, if UTSA or SMU, more so UTSA because they're taking the step up. If UTSA has a really, really good year and wins the conference, they're going to be a top 15 team in the country.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
If they beat Houston and win the conference and their only loss is to Tennessee, or they're 10-2 with losses to Tennessee and Tulane, like the schedule thing won't be a thing anymore.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's going to be interesting for teams like that. And that's where North Texas hopes to get in the future, because that's the whole point of stepping into this conference is that if you are very, very good, you can prove it. And there's no more of these getting to bowl games just because you played 6 of the worst teams in the country. Sorry.
Agreed.
That's just how it goes. All right. So overall schedule, way too early predictions, Colin, because we got to get the content out, Colin. We got to tell people what we're thinking here.
See, 3 and 5 in conference, and I said 5 and 7.
Yeah, you said 2 and 2 in non-conference.
Yep.
Yeah.
And my thinking behind the going 2 and 2 in non-conference is that it's not going to be easy out the gate with a new coach. And
no, I have very, very little expectations for this year.
Yeah.
Like my expectations, like I said, look like a competent team and start to build an identity.
Yep.
That you can sustain, that is repeatable, that we've seen Jeff Traylor do at UTSA, that we've seen great coaches do, Willie Fritz do at Tulane, so on and so forth.
Again, it's the eye test.
Yeah. Build an identity, win some games you're not supposed to, fight, and not shoot yourself in the foot, as we've seen this team do time after time after time. So I'll go 6 and 6, and I'll be the optimist there. Whether they win a bowl game or not, I don't know. I'm not worried about that. But it will be interesting. New slate of teams, new opponents, no more UTEPs. I mean, even though they still have La Tech and FIU. So that's FIU, La Tech.
You want to know what's really funny about the whole bowl game thing, too? Is that the 4 hardest teams in the conference schedule would all be a bowl game for North Texas, in the past. Like if they won, if you had like an SMU that goes 6 and 6 would play like a 9 and 3. Exactly. North Texas. You know what I mean? So it's that's when I say like it's going to be fun to wake up and see how they compete against these teams.
Yeah. And I enjoyed that. I like that they're not playing Rice and
Charlotte.
FAU. Are they playing Charlotte this year?
No, I'm glad that they're not.
Yeah, they're not playing Charlotte, FAU, and Rice this year.
Yeah.
So we get just a whole new slate of teams coming in. So that'll be interesting. All right, there we have it. It's a nice little, I don't know how long this was, 15, 20-minute pod. Talk about the schedule. Let us know what you think. What do you think they're going to go? Do you see 6 and 6? Do you see 5 and 7? What's the conference record you thinking? Who are they going to upset? A lot of things to talk about. We hope we covered it all for y'all. We'll continue to have some football talk, as spring unfolds, as we get more from Eric Morris and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's all for now. Leave us a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you're listening. And we will be back after the next basketball game, probably, or after the next 2, probably after the regular season ends.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good way. Unless
our tournament
middle just looks awful.
Oof, no, it won't. It won't. Positivity, Colin.
Oh, I wasn't being negative. I was just saying that.
No, I know. I know. We'll probably do our brackets. Fill out our brackets.
Oh, that'll be fun
on that pod. So, all right. We'll talk to y'all later.